Think about SpongeBob. Think about Krabby Patties, laughter, and the ukulele music. Now, forget all of it. There is one episode, Spongehenge, that is the opposite of everything we know. It's melancholic, strange, and for years, fans simply ignored it. But what happens if we ignore it? And what if, by running away from its disturbing tone, we are missing the most important message the series ever gave us? I spent months reviewing every detail, every season, looking for a pattern, and what I found is not just a theory, it's a revelation about the true meaning of Spongehenge. This discovery not only transformed my understanding of this episode, but also redefined my view on SpongeBob's legacy. Before we get to the end, we have to go back to the beginning. It all started with a sound that came from an unexpected place, the wind. The episode opens with an unusually strong gust of wind sweeping through Bikini Bottom. Two fish leaving a restaurant comment on the severity of the weather. As the wind intensifies, it snatches the fish's food, hurling it across the city and directly into the sleeping face of SpongeBob. Upon waking, SpongeBob notices the goulash and approaches the window hoping to find its owner. Then a new gust hits him, blowing through his pores and producing a hollow, strange, haunting sound. This is the first clue that something is off. Longtime fans recognize that this sound design is atypical for SpongeBob. The series rarely, if ever, employs tones of this nature. The sound resembles an ocarina or a flute, distinctly different from the usual Hawaiian ukulele background music. It's unsettling, persistent. The jellyfish seem to love it. They vibrate, gather around SpongeBob as if he were a walking Spotify playlist, dancing, spinning, even floating inside him. A true mosh pit of jellyfish. The next morning, the situation worsens, attracting even more jellyfish to SpongeBob. They block his path, trapping him with their vibrant energy. Eventually, Mr. Krabs helps him reach the Krusty Krab by dragging him with a hook, but the truce is brief. The jellyfish return, the wind worsens, and the Krusty Krab is launched into the air as if it had a debt to pay. SpongeBob lands at Patrick's house. Patrick, in a gesture of friendship, lets him in for just 5 seconds before being stung and blaming SpongeBob for his bad luck. Okay, thanks buddy. So SpongeBob hides in a deep, remote cave, windless and silent, accompanied only by rocks. Here, the narrative takes a dark turn. SpongeBob doesn't just hide, he unravels. He begins talking to the rocks, laughing to himself, growing a wild, wizard-like beard, as if time itself has lost meaning. Then, he builds a statue, a stone replica of himself, not for decoration, but to talk to share tea with. When the wind hits the statue, it emits the same sound. The jellyfish return, they hear the sound, and SpongeBob has an epiphany. He begins building not one, but dozens of massive stone versions of himself, arranged in a circle, each meticulously tuned to capture the wind in just the right way. It's essentially SpongeBob in surround sound. He no longer tries to escape the problem, he seeks to control it, perfect it, recreate the sound, make it eternal, and it works. The jellyfish finally stops surrounding him. The music is enough, and for the first time in a long while, SpongeBob is free. He returns to Bikini Bottom, expecting to find his home, but instead finds emptiness. Everything is gone. The world has moved on without him, leaving him alone. He sacrificed everything, his time, his sanity, his identity, to create something he believed was important, something perfect. But when he returned, there was nothing left to return to. Fast forward 3,000 years, aliens observed the structures, similar to Stonehenge, trying to decipher who built them and why. And thus, the episode ends. No jokes, no satisfying conclusion, just that sinister wind and maniacal laughter. It's an ambiguous and deeply somber ending, highly unusual for a SpongeBob episode. Normally, the series follows a clear 3-act structure with the resolution, but this episode offers none, just that unsettling laughter.
SpongeBob ends without answers, leaving a trail of 1,000 questions. How long did he stay in the cave? Why does the wind still blow after 3,000 years? What happened to Bikini Bottom? The ending lacks any clue, any joke, any visual hint, only silence. And for many viewers, that was the central issue. Some fans hated the ambiguity, while others felt the episode didn't even seem to belong to SpongeBob. From the opening scene, the tone is dissonant. No goofy humor, no familiar ukulele sound, just an eerie and unknown atmosphere. And that's intentional. At first glance, the episode seems to be about SpongeBob dealing with jellyfish problems, but deeper down, it reveals itself as a metaphor for obsession, isolation, and perhaps even madness. SpongeBob doesn't solve a problem, he's consumed by it. He spends an indeterminate amount of time building stone versions of himself just to maintain the wind's music, perfecting its melody. And when he finally returns home, everyone is gone. The Krusty Krab is in ruins. Bikini Bottom is deserted. All that remains are the jellyfish. They continue to dance to a song that no longer comes from him. He has become a monument to his art, a ghost, conducting an orchestra for no one. When Spongehenge first aired, reactions were mixed. Some fans hailed it as brilliant, others found it scary, dark, even depressing. Many simply dismissed it as random nonsense. Over time, its strangeness became harder to ignore. We began to question what the episode was really communicating. Spongehenge creates an intentional void, a space for interpretation, where each viewer can project their own ideas. Artistic madness, religious symbolism, or the existential angst of the 2000s. The choice is yours. But if you still watch modern SpongeBob, a revelation may occur. What if these theories aren't competing ideas, but stages of a larger narrative? The joke that never finds its punchline. The goodbye disguised as absurdity. The world without gods, where no one listens to the obsession for art. All these ideas converge into one final conclusion. Spongehenge doesn't seek to explain its own mythology. It's a prophecy of the future, a cryptic love letter from beyond the grave, the last breath of the original team before being swept away by the corporate wind tunnel. After the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which creator Stephen Hillenburg always conceived as the grand finale, most of the original team, including Hillenburg, stepped away. He didn't want SpongeBob to become just another endless franchise. He wanted it to end while it still had meaning. The fans, we, couldn't accept the end. SpongeBob became a global icon, a marketing tool, a Halloween costume, a meme generator. We didn't want SpongeBob to die. We demanded more, and the network gave in. They kept SpongeBob alive. But was he really alive, or just a replica? A hollow version of what he once was. Sounds familiar? That's Spongehenge. It's not just a strange episode, it's a prophecy, parody of what SpongeBob would become after the departure of its original creator. And the wind, loud, chaotic, endless, is fame. It comes out of nowhere, creates music, attracts crowds, and once it starts, it's impossible to stop. It transforms us into something else, something people want us to be. Suddenly, SpongeBob is no longer SpongeBob. He's a mascot. His friends turn against him not out of hate, but because they no longer recognize him. So he runs away, hides, and, alone in a cave, he sculpts. Not to be loved, but to be remembered as an artist who gives everything to a final work that no one asked for. A long, painful process to build a legacy worthy of memory. And the statues aren't tributes. They're warnings to us, the fans, that one day we'll be applauding something bigger, louder, but that won't be the original. The statues don't complain, don't change. They just stand there, like SpongeBob himself. Just like the modern episodes, more and more SpongeBobs appeared, but they weren't him. They were polished replicas, heartless, made of stone, without feeling, without strangeness, just content. And in that final scene, SpongeBob watches it all. A man out of his time, replaced by statues, performing for a crowd that no longer listens. Maybe, just maybe, this episode is suggesting that one day, in a distant future, there will still be a SpongeBob, but it won't feel like the real SpongeBob.